Hi, my name's Chris Coyle, and I've just taken time out from Australian Independence Radio to do this video for you. I feel it's so important that we are rapidly heading into a cashless society that you must be warned against complying with the cashless society. Now, you probably heard some of the arguments for and some of the arguments against the cashless society. Well, this argument is against the cashless society for the simple fact is that the moment we become a cashless society, we become slaves. Slavery is where people get to work for, you get to work for somebody and they keep you working for them and you do not get paid. And should you stray away from doing the work that they want you to do, you get punished. Now, a cashless society is an insidious method of slavery, because you do not get anything for your work. You get digits, computer strokes on a keyboard, numbers added into a computer which is allocated to you via your bank account. But you cannot withdraw cash because the cashless society has already done that. There is no cash. Under a cashless society, you are totally reliant upon the honesty of banks. You are totally reliant upon the honesty of the government. You are totally reliant upon the honesty of members of the public who are capable of hacking into both bank accounts and government computers. There was a time when cash was protected by law and protected with a promise. But we actually had something tangible, something that we could carry and have on hand. Gold in the form of coins. Silver in the form of coins. Now that coin is almost 1 ounce of solid silver, and in its day had tremendous power, buying power. The Americans also relied on silver. They're known as Morgan dollars, but there are other silver dollars. And these days, the American dollars are now 1 ounce in silver. But the standard common currency is not made of gold or not made of silver. Gold and silver, it is said in section 115 of the Australian Constitution, it's supposed to be a book of rules to keep our politicians in check, says that no state shall coin money, nor shall any state make anything other than gold and silver, to have gold and silver as a method of discharging debt. That is to say, you cannot discharge debt lest it be with gold and silver. That is why these coins were being carried around in our pockets. Now, early in Australian society, after Federation, we had banknotes. Now this was the thin end of the wedge, because the banknotes had on them, at least, a promise to pay gold for paper. Now, that's fine. That means you could go into the bank with your paper and receive a gold coin. In the case of a £1 note, you would receive a sovereign. In the case of a 10-shilling note, which was our smallest note at that time, you would receive a half sovereign. Or you could ask for silver, sterling silver, in the shape of coins. Threepence, sixpence, shilling, 2 shillings, 5 shillings. As time dragged on, the money masters realised they weren't ripping us off enough. The banks and the government, working in collusion, weren't ripping us off enough. They wanted to make more out of us. So, how do you make more out of the people when you aren't really interested in, well, you're interested in it, but you're not able to get away with increasing taxes or introducing new taxes at that time? So what do? You introduce a new currency. And so we had the dollar. Remember these? Yeah. Portrait of the Queen, Australian coat of arms, and down the bottom you had the signature of the Governor of the Reserve Bank and the Treasurer, and on the bottom of that is some writing. In the old money, it promised to pay the bearer the value of that £1 or silver or gold to that value. But when we changed the currency, those promises were lifted from the notes. We no longer had the promise of gold or silver. Gone. So people fell victim to the greatest gold robbery in Australia's history. Are you aware of the greatest gold robbery in Australian history? Do you remember when it was? It wasn't carried out by anyone like Ronald Biggs. No, it was carried out by the government and by the banks. When they changed over to the dollar, little old ladies and pensioners and other people and that were convinced to bring in their gold sovereigns and exchange them for the new $2 note paper. The coins ceased to become made of sterling silver. They were made of copper and nickel. There was only one coin in 1966 that was made of silver to stay in compliance with the Australian Constitution, and that was the 50-cent coin. It was not even sterling. It was 800 silver. But then the government very quickly rectified that situation and withdrew the silver coin and replaced it with a hexagon shape or octagonal shape 50-cent coin, also made of copper and nickel. So we lost our tangible gold and silver and ended up with fake coins made of nickel and copper and paper. Then, to make matters worse, further down the track, even the promises to pay the bearer were removed from the notes. The plastic notes were introduced, and the promise to pay the bearer is gone. All it says on the notes is that the notes are legal tender. That means that they're legally able to be exchanged for goods. But who creates the laws? Who makes things legal and illegal? The government. And what the government gives us, the government can take us away. This brings us back to the cashless society. If you go and have a cashless society, and all of your wealth is taken up with computer keystrokes, computer entries, then the government makes it illegal to hold currency, or it makes currency illegal to be a form of legal tender. That is to say, any currency after a certain date, they will say, has no value. No one will accept it. You won't be able to go to the shops and use cash. Finished. They'll just say, see you later. That's not anything. We don't accept it. The moment that happens, you have become a slave. Because, as I said before, what the government giveth, the government can taketh away. And as you've seen by so-called mistakes in recent years, you've gone along to the teller machine and you haven't been able to get your money. No backup for cash in a cashless society, so you can't just go home and get the savings that you've been putting aside in the money tin. Useless. Under a cashless society, you'll be working for digits, and you'll be at the mercy of anyone who's in control of the bank's computers, such as the banks themselves, or the government, or a hacker. Right? A hacker gets a hold of your plastic card information and hacks in, gets your money. This is a common occurrence. No backup with the cash, so you go to the bank. The bank says, prove it. Our records show that there's no money in your account. Where's your redress? Where's your remedy? Where is your safety net? There isn't one. You can't say, well, stuff you, I'm not going to use you as a bank anymore, I'll keep my money at home. You won't have any money at home. You will be in the mercy of the banks, which we all know are dishonest, the government, which we know is even more dishonest, and the hackers, which are outright criminals. So, in closing, I beg of you all, if you have any interest in your own future and your children's future, do not allow a cashless society. Protest vehemently at any moves towards a cashless society. You have already gone down the track towards a cashless society. You accepted these. Yeah. Pretty little pieces of plastic that hold... What do they hold? Digits. Computer keystrokes. Nothing real about this. Costs the bank 6 cents to produce. What does it create? It creates a ceiling of debt. You use that and you owe the bank money. How do you pay it? Oh, you get credits into your account. So, the bank takes away credits. The bank hits you with fees. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? With a cashless society, you've got nothing. And if the government wants to punish somebody for stepping out of line, they take the money away. After all, haven't you actually seen letters that someone who is on a pension or on unemployment, every time Centrelink sends them out a letter requesting them to do something, don't they also say, fail to do that and we will take away your money? The most vulnerable people will be people who are on a pension, who are relying on government welfare. Anyone who's on a pension or on unemployment or relying on government money or assistance are even more enslaved than those who are in the workforce, because they are totally reliant on the government giving or taking away the very life force that they need to survive. Every move that moves towards a cashless society is a move to end slavery. Yeah. Here's another one. Flyboys. Yeah. How's that a move to end slavery? It's a reward program to keep you using this. So, when you're in a cashless society, all you'll have is this. Lose that and you have nothing. How many more ways can I say it? Every one of these that gets produced is just another little insidious slice towards keeping you into a cashless society, getting you used to using cards. And when you get used to using cards and that's all you have, you won't notice much of a difference. It's like the frog in the pot, the old frog in the pot. Throw him into a hot boiling pot of water and he'll jump straight out and leap away. Put him into cold water and then slowly turn the heat up and he'll cook, because he won't notice the change until it's too late. Don't be fooled into not noticing the change until it's too late. Every little step towards a cashless society is another step towards total enslavement. Don't fall for it. It might end up that the people will have to revolt, and revolt violently. It seems to me, to my observations, that the only way to get a politician to do anything is to make it personal. Make him believe very clearly that he will no longer have a job at the next election, providing the government continues having fair elections, or should say they've never had fair elections, but giving that the government have continued to have elections, that is a threat that you can hold against him, take his job away. The other thing you can do is called a mandate. Do not fill out petitions. If people are angry about something and they want something changed, do not fill out a petition. A petition will be gathered together by the government, placed into a cabinet room, and then after it is placed in the cabinet room, it becomes a cabinet document, and they don't have to discuss it for 30 years. They don't have to do anything about it for 30 years. In fact, it then becomes undiscussable or totally forbidden for 30 years. So they kill your petition off by simply introducing it into the cabinet room, and then under the Official Secrets Act it becomes a cabinet document. If you want your politician to do something, you use a form which is called a mandate form. It has a sequential numbering like a banknote. It has your official demands at the top, and it has the mandator. It has their signature at the bottom along with the date. And if you want the government, or if you want the local member, and this is more important in your area, if you want the local member to do something by law, you mandate him. And if you give him enough of those mandate forms signed by enough members of that constituency, he must by law act upon that mandate. You hear politicians getting elected to Parliament saying, oh, we put out these policies and that's our mandate to go through with them. No, that's not a mandate. A mandate is a written set of instructions. No one at any election ever gives any politician a set of written instructions. So they are using the word mandate incorrectly, and they're using it very sneakily to get away with putting in policies that you don't like and that we don't like. But if you fill out a mandate ordering him to do something, and he gets enough of those mandate forms, you can get them filled out individually just as easily as you get someone to sign a petition, but the mandate actually has lawful weight behind it, and that's the correct way to get a politician to do something. So you need to set out, as we are, and get a mandate going to order your local member to forbid and fight against the introduction of a cashless society. Thank you. I hope this has helped.